It is your perception of the event that will create the stress or not create the stress. Demonstrated by Faith, who just shared with me that she had stressors in every category, and then they were gone. How do we know this? How do we know that it's your perception versus the event? Everything you just wrote down, environmental stressors, social stressors, physiological stressors, it's all based on the perception of them as stressors. And so then, yeah, we got lots to talk about. These are my stressors. This will get in my way. Absolutely. And from the perspective that you're looking at it, I can't argue with you. But you will need to change your perception of it so that they no longer bother you. Now, how do we know this is true? There's a category in stress management called stress hardiness. It's a very, very, very important characteristic that everyone in this room needs to learn and develop. The good news is it is a learned behavior. What's also good about it is people that have developed this quality, this characteristic, do not get sick from stress and do not have reasons why they can't do something. Now, they do have strategies that they practice over and over and over again. And the first one is, it's called reframing, or learned optimism. And again, learned optimism, reframing, is something that you have to practice. I don't recommend thinking about the worst possible thing that ever happened to you and then trying to reframe it. But what does reframing mean? Basically, it means you look at something that you typically look up as a stressor or something negative, and you say, where is the positive here? You ask yourself, what can I learn from this? You ask yourself, how can I not view this as an impediment? And what that does is that starts to shift the perception, the perspective. Because you're no longer focusing on it only as something negative or a stressor or something bad or something that's getting in the way. And then what happens to us is, because we have that perception, we keep looking for it, we keep waiting for it. It magnifies, it builds, until that's our impediment. I can't do this. Why? Because of that stressor. Then it allows us to not take responsibility for our lives. Because we're always blaming something on the outside of why we can't do something. Is it easier doing that? Sure it is. I'm not going to take responsibility for my life. I'm not going to be accountable. It's because my Asian parents, my kids. I can't do it. Too much noise, too much responsibility. I have no time. Whatever your reason is, whatever your excuse is, my guess is it's something that you've had a long time. Because we're always doing it. It's, again, the 60,000 thoughts, 95% of the same thing. That's part of the unconscious process, looking at where it is we don't take responsibility for ourselves. Where do we blame? Look at the stress list. That's where you blame. Your body hears the gratitude. Your cells dance to the gratitude. That sounds poetic, I know. Everybody do it with me. Let's do some cell dance. Yeah. A little gratitude cell dance. There we go. How do you know when you're stressed? So, and I'm asking you to speak individually. I'd like to create a little interactivity. So how do you know when you're stressed?
Butterflies.
You get some butterflies in your stomach. Okay?
Big butterflies.
Okay? Thank you. Yes?
Heart rate.
Your heart rate speeds up. Yeah? Good. Others? Hands get sweaty. Kind of like mine are right now, actually. Yes?
Headaches.
Get some headaches?
I get kind of cross.
So you get kind of angry. Yeah. Yes? Okay. So here's what I want you to do. Thank you, everyone. I want you to put your arm out like this. I want you to tighten your arm. Make it tight, tighter, a little bit tighter, a little bit tighter, a little bit tighter. How many of you are breathing? All right, one of you are breathing, great. So what you just demonstrated is what research shows, and that is that 9 out of 10 of you will literally stop breathing when you're under stress. What we just did was we replicated the body's stress reaction with our arm. That's what your body's doing. And if you notice, you weren't aware you weren't breathing until I mentioned it. Same thing happens when you're under stress. Now, what that is that's your body giving you a warning. That's the first warning, the first level of warning. What do you think it wants you to do? Breathe. That's right. Take some deep breaths in. But let's say you don't. You're so focused on your stressor, whatever it is, and you continue to be stressed. Your body will then kick you into level 2 of its warning system. Level 2 is pain. Headaches, backaches, shoulder aches, stomach aches, and the list goes on. But let's say that you ignore those symptoms. Pop some pills as a way to deal with your stress. Don't look at what's behind it. Your body will then kick you into level 3 of its warning system, and that is immune system-related disorders. It gets very, very serious with stress. Stress is a cumulative disease. The more you ignore the symptoms, the worse they become. The positive side of this, though, is that techniques that I'm going to talk about today, stress management, actually also has a cumulative effect on your body and can reverse the symptoms of stress that you have. In fact, people that practice the techniques that you're going to do today can actually develop a resistance to stress. So what's causing you stress now, what you typically experience stress, will not necessarily create the same level of stress if you practice these techniques. The body develops a different level, basically what I call the buffer zone. Now, how many of you ever heard of Deepak Chopra? Okay, Deepak Chopra is a physician. He's written a number of books about mind-body health. And he says that we have 60,000 thoughts a day. Now, does that seem like a lot of thoughts? Can you imagine writing down 60,000 thoughts? Probably not. But what's even more interesting is he says 95% of them are the same thoughts you had yesterday. And the day before, and the day before that. We have similar types of thinking patterns. Now, what that means in terms of stress is that typically what caused you stress last week, under the same or similar circumstances, will create the same stress reaction next week. So you have 2 primary responsibilities. Responsibility 1, you need to understand and know where your body stores its stress. Now, usually it'll start in one place or 2 places, but usually it'll go to the same place over and over and over again. So one is become aware of it. The second is you want to become aware of your thinking process. Every single thought you have will create a certain reaction in your body. So how can you tell the kinds of thoughts you're having? Seems like a simple question. So there are 2 ways. One is watch the words you speak. Generally, as you're talking, are you positive? Are you negative? Are you disempowering? Are you critical? Just watch those words. Second, notice how you're feeling throughout the day. Do you feel upbeat, positive, happy, excited? Or do you feel the opposite? Kind of down and depressed and negative. Again, these are going to be symptoms of your thinking process. Now, the reality is you don't have to have the same thinking process over and over and over again. You can change them. You can change your thoughts. Today's day 1. Today's your laboratory day. It takes 21 days to change a habit. So you want to find something you do on a daily basis and then add another element to it. When you take something familiar, add something unfamiliar, that's how we change our habits.